Hello and welcome to Catch the Vision. I'm so glad you've taken time today to learn about our congregation. We're so thankful that you're here. I don't know if anyone's ever told you before, but you are an answer to prayer. We've been praying that God would bring us people from the north and the south and the east and the west to Antioch Church, and here you are in response to our prayers. Now, over the next few moments, we're going to tell you some of our story. We want to talk to you about our vision, the things that make Antioch Church distinct, what we feel called to do as a congregation, and then I'm going to conclude this session by talking about some questions that will help you know whether or not the Lord is calling you to make Antioch your church home at this point in time. Before we get started, I want to give you just a little bit of a word about Teresa and me. We've discovered that when people come to our congregation and they're new, that many times they want to know where we're from and something about us personally. I was born in Kentucky. I was raised in Illinois and Peru, South America. My parents were missionaries. I celebrated my 13th birthday 3 weeks after we arrived in the Amazon jungle. And yes, going through adolescence and culture shock at the same time was a real experience. But God made a tremendous deposit in my life there that is one of the reasons I am the person that I am today. And it turned out to be a very positive thing. I'm actually a fourth generation pastor and never intended to be a minister, but then I had a profound encounter with God as a boy where that seed was sown, and then at 17 years of age came back to the Lord and had a very supernatural encounter with the Lord where He spoke to me about preaching His gospel. And today I'm very thankful to be doing what I'm doing. Teresa was born in Ohio, but she was raised in Louisville, Kentucky. Her father was a pastor there for many years. Our families were friends, and in fact, both of our mothers were evangelists before they married our fathers, and our earliest picture together as a couple was taken not long after she was born. She was about a year and a half old. I remember going to see the new baby when she was born. People say, "When did you meet each other?" I say, "Well, when she was born," and that really is the truth. But our first picture taken together that we have, she was about a year and a half old, and I was about 7.5 years old. Our families were friends. Her mother actually had preached revival meetings for my father in the church where he pastored, and my mother, of course, served alongside him before she was married, long before there ever was a Teresa. It's not like we grew up together. We got acquainted some years later. I graduated from Bible college, and I remember going to a youth camp and seeing a very special young lady there, one that had a heart for Jesus and had a heart for ministry. And before that week was over, I went out under a big oak tree and had a conversation with the Lord and said, "Lord, for the first time in my life, I know the kind of person that God wants me to marry." And 4.5 years later, we were married. And when people see the picture of our wedding, now that we've been married many years, they always say the same thing about her. They say, "Boy, she still looks the same." They never say that about me. But God has been so good to us, and I'm so thankful to be married to Teresa. She's truly the finest Christian that I know, loves the Lord with all her heart, loves Antioch Church, loves people, followed me literally all around the world, to various countries around the world before the Lord brought us here to Antioch, and it's such a joy to be serving the Lord here alongside her. We were married in 1985, so you can tell we've been married a while, and they've been wonderful years. Before we came to Dallas, we served the Lord together as itinerant evangelists, traveled around the United States. We taught in Bible school, and then we're career missionaries to the nation of France. We lived right in the city of Paris, helped pastor a church in Paris, a French language congregation, so of course we speak French. And from there, traveled to many countries around Europe and around the world. Never dreamed really that we would ever come to America and pastor a church, and then we're called by God here in a very unusual way. Our greatest earthly joy are our two children, Charity and John Mark, who were born to us after 13 years of infertility. Well, the doctors had told us we would never have children. We never thought we could have children. And then the Lord worked some miracles, and God gave us two children, even when the doctors thought we wouldn't have any. So sometimes when people say, "Well, I don't believe in answered prayer. I don't believe God answers prayer," that miracles happen in respect to or in response to prayer. And I always point to our two children and say, "Well, you've come a little late to tell me that, because look at our children, look at what God has done." We came to Dallas, Texas to serve a congregation here, and then in November of 2011, That congregation, following the sale of the church property in North Dallas, embraced the call of God, a very specific and a very sovereign call of God to move downtown and birth an Antioch church in the heart of our city, something that had never been done before. And so in November of 2011, we embraced that call. We used the sale proceeds of our former property to buy the property that we own now in the West End in May of 2012, began construction in May of 2013, and had our first service on this campus on March 30th of 2014. It was an amazing, amazing journey. I have a little video clip I want to show you from the dedication of our new facility that will tell you some of the story how God led us into the heart of our city.